I already went over these first three screenshots in the, I guess that was the part 3. Because I thought these were going to be the part 2 because I didn't remember that I kind of already had a part 2. So, yeah. The first comment is from some quote-unquote interview of some FBI dude who obviously was doing the stuff that he claimed he was getting people to stop doing. And you can tell by how he talks about the situation as if nothing's really wrong with it, and just the fact that he's in the FBI in general. Then the second and third comment are from Ali Carter reupload video that someone made. And the comments right there really speak for the ones that you're going to see in this video. The lack of due care for their own people is something that's largely unpublished. I honestly believe that the USA mistreats their own people worse than anywhere else in the world. I'm about 2 minutes and 43 seconds into this video, and it instantly reminds me of New York. The trashy vendors and their signs clutter. Yeah, I guess I didn't screenshot the rest of that comment. I left some of the pictures in this video so I could actually remember which video it was. So this is probably the rest of the comments from that, whatever in the world it was called. I'm going to leave a link. But that documentary type video about Los Angeles. And if the Los Angeles and Hollywood dream is still real or something like that. The homeless kid at 37 was just on White Underbelly getting interviewed by Mark LOL. Because I guess that's, well, I guess I don't really know which part they're laughing at. But, I mean, it's most likely some ill intent behind that. He's on the Santa Monica Close-Up channel too with Daisy and John. In this vid, he said he ran away from Venice when he was 14 and he's 23 now. He actually said, I'm like 23 now, which was definitely not what you want to say when you're lying or supposed to be lying when you're doing the Laylo's late teen thing. Funny because he's literally 14 on the run from the cops currently. Honestly, though, it really looks like the cops are after him more now because he's doing the interview. And of course, society, or well, the systems like CPS and the police have to pretend that they actually help with these things. Even though, if you were to go to the police about some abuse situation you witnessed, or even a relative of yours, the police are going to tell you it's not even their job to do anything. But him doing those interviews definitely made the situation worse. But he's not really on the run from the cops. They're making it sound like he committed some crime. When you're homeless in general, you're already going to be treated like a criminal and a fugitive. But when you're doing the Laylo's 18 thing, you're definitely considered a fugitive. Because if you're not being abused and trafficked through the Cash for Kids system, or somebody, then you did something wrong, apparently. But that's how it goes, though. Honestly, whenever you're not doing whatever the cult that we call society wants you to do, you're a quote-unquote criminal. Or, in the Western world, specifically America, then you're quote-unquote mentally ill or something. And apparently some people in the U.S. still want to pretend that it's not illegal to be kicked out or to run away or to just not have any parents or anything. And I don't know why people do that, though, in the U.S. when they could do a quick Google search. But definitely in other countries, people, when they find out that running away or being kicked out and all that is illegal, it really confuses them. But it's true, though. I'm not gonna lie, though. I kind of feel like that girl that came up in the background and mentioned the whole adoption thing with the Daisy lady. I feel like she was dry snitching on purpose. That was way too condescending. Like, I mean, I don't know why he's getting on camera anyway, but if you already know that he's on camera, why in the world would you come up behind him and get on the camera too, talking about the whole adoption situation? Although there are a couple reasons why somebody who's 23 would be adopted. I mean, maybe like, I don't know, they're going into a conservatorship or something. But I mean, everyone needs family. You definitely wouldn't want to be adopted by Daisy, though, but I do get the point. The point is that she would be the guardian, and so then he would have rights, and then she can enroll him in school. I get what he's trying to do, but it's not really likely that that's going to be able to happen, and that's not really what you want in the long run, because then she has control over you. Anywho, that kid at the skate park is 14 years old, not 23, and a menace. A menace how? Daisy cannot adopt this kid, and she's encouraging him to lie to police. Encouraging him to lie to police about what? What lie would the police even listen to? The police wouldn't listen to Jack that he has to say anyway for multiple reasons. Like, if anything, she's not lying to police, but it's not even that she's lying. The police really don't care. They want to do the bare minimum because they really don't care anyway. And of course, all they would do is kidnap him and throw him into the trafficking organizations anyway. But the police know that he was living in Daisy's tent. But the funny thing is, though, a lot of people, especially people that say they live in the area, say that Daisy and them aren't even really homeless anyway. They're just always outside camping on the beach. So I don't even know. It's really confusing. But yeah, I don't know why they're saying that he's lying or being told to lie. She's lying, if anything, about a lot of things. But why would a 23-year-old need to be adopted? No, hold up. I read that wrong, but it's whatever. The sheer obliviousness and callous statements made about this video only serve to highlight just how screwed, clueless, and mind-blowing arrogance that runs rampant throughout this country. Yep, the fall of Babylon. And what's that thing? Oh yeah. Wait, no. Yeah, pride comes before the fall. SoCal is absolutely disgusting these days. Even formerly nice areas like West LA, Santa Monica, and San Diego have all become inundated with poverty. Oh gosh, drugs, homelessness, theft, robberies, etc. The California dream is dead. Honestly, the California dream was never there. It was always for that specific group of Europeans that love to run around Northeast Africa and a lot of places in general, claiming to be the people. Like, California was never for most people, but it's funny how they say things like this. So, like, how do you guys have the nerve to talk about drugs when you were the ones that led the whole communist little hippie movement thing that did nothing but teach one world religion, NWO doctrine, under the pagan Roman Catholic Church? Like, there's so much I could say about this. Like, a lot of the really messed up people that you'll meet out here, homeless or not, like the really messed up ones, they're messed up because of all this one world religion, communist doctrine that they've been getting fed through the schools, the hippie agenda, and different things that have been pushed, specifically on the West Coast, since like before the 60s. In fact, if you watch the videos about that 14-year-old homeless kid, all that, those rants that Daisy goes on, that's that little NWO, Caesar Borgia, hippie Jesus, one world religion doctrine, rhetoric, bullcrap. That's what she's talking about. And it's the usual rhetoric that you'll hear that's really spreading around pretty much everywhere, but it's just been in the West Coast for so long. And it's funny that they have the nerve to say the things that they say. Because it's like when you're doing drugs and you're homeless and it's a problem, but then for everybody else, then it's good. Although, one thing I'll say is that that kid definitely does need to be around Daisy. Too much weird sexual stuff. But I do get her overall message. I can say that. Her overall message, I mean, it's there. She's pretty much like doing what other people that claim that they're saying should be doing. Trying to get people together who are thrown out of society and are most likely known to their prophetic and, I don't know, help each other out. But, of course, people like that who do care and are empathic commonly just, due to all the things that happen, end up getting messed up and then they go down the wrong path. And so then they're not really helping people like how they should, and they're doing the weird chomo stuff. And I should go over that one thumbnail I saw of her and some dude on that, what was that called? Santa Monica close-up channel. Anywho, is dead and nobody can convince me otherwise. When a starter home is $750,000, the state is broken. Newsom and Bass are the two worst leaders in CA history. Not my dream for sure. I don't want to stay in a place with such distractions. People following the trends like maniacs and with absolute low sense of life as a human being. Hi, the real beauty of California is in its state and national parks. In fact, we have 9 national parks and they're all beautiful. I strongly recommend visiting. I think that said Yosemite. Okay, so this is a real trigger for me. And I don't know if it's like some type of projection or if like, I don't know, it's me wanting to be a hero or something. But I really don't like when people try to bash somebody by quote unquote telling their story and their business and they're dead wrong and they most likely know they're dead wrong. It's really annoying to me. It really is. That one kid in Venice first said he ran away when he was 14 and now he's 23, homeless in Venice. Wait a minute. So he's homeless in the same place he originally ran away in? I guess I forgot about that part. He definitely needs to get out that city. I don't know why he's still in the same city. He's not. He's a current 14-year-old runaway. He has places to go. He'd rather be a bum. Sad but true. Don't believe everyone you talk to in Venice Beach. Well, he's saying he's 23 because that's what he has to do to protect himself. Although, like I've been saying, he really should just stop getting in cameras anyway. But there's the bum term. So much I can say about that. I mean, he's not old enough to work. He can't enroll himself in school. As if school would make a difference anyway. Honestly, in situations like this, or really in general, you should really probably just try to get a job if possible. Because the school thing, that's kind of whatever. Especially with the brainwashing that you get taught. I mean, it was always for indoctrination, but it's worse. It's getting worse. They push even more pedo philosophies, which they were built off of anyway. I mean, schools and the music industry both are made for the same reason as I mentioned before, and both of them also teach people to look up to a whole bunch of sex traffickers and molesters. And they also push pedo philosophies. It's been going on in Cali for forever, but it's pretty much everywhere now. Like, I mean, schools even teach people that watching quote unquote corn, as I'll just call it in this video, but I call it people abuse imagery. Schools teach it that's a good thing, and they teach a whole bunch of other bull crap like that. And all that does is it messes people up. That's the agenda, as I always say. Traumatize and turn out the kids, and they never become fully functioning adults, and then they'll go along with any agenda that's pushed. All that, but anywho. The bum term is just really stupid. That's all I can really say about that, especially in situations like this. And then, as far as that he has places to be, I mean, for one, who are you to say that anyway? Obviously, he doesn't, or he wouldn't be in the situation he's in. I know that they're trying to say that, like, the police are trying to take him to jail and that's a place to be, but that's not a place to be. No branch of the Cash for Kids system is a place to be. I mean, it's really annoying to me. Like, people really feel like when you're on the streets, you're making them look bad. So instead, just accept being put in some trafficking organization and locked in some jail, being drugged and tied to beds and stuff. And that's a home, and then there's that. And if you don't want to do that, then you're a bum. And people like that wonder why the tsunami is coming. In fact, people like that probably don't even believe the tsunami is really going to come. Whether the dream is actualized or not has never been, nor ever will be, the locus of LA's allure. It is a place where you can dream a million times in a million directions everywhere. And at the best or worst of times, the dream of becoming a Hollywood star and then getting terrorized and tortured in Virgo Vasal rituals. That's the only dream that really seems to go on in Hollywood. I mean, that's what a lot of people there look up to and want. Like, I've met some people out here who are like, I think he's like 70 something now. He ended up going into the military too, I think, but he told me about how he ran away at 14. I guess he was like really poor or something, but he ran away at 14 and went to LA because he wanted to be a movie star. But of course, he ended up getting thrown in jail by the police for being homeless underage, and that screwed up a lot of things for him. But I mean, It's really messed up, and the same things that happened to him that could have possibly happened with him and commonly happens in juvenile jails with the correction officers would have been 10 times worse in Hollywood. Because if you don't know, I mean, of course, in any institution, it's going to be a lot of abuse, especially in the Cash for Kids system. But corrections officers and PU officers and those different guards that work in the jails for kids and adults, although children are commonly thrown in adult prisons too, they love to do different Virgo Vasal sodomy type stuff to people. But anywho, it's like either way, he was running into a bad situation. And it's really messed up. It's like people want better, but they don't really know how to get a better situation for themselves. And some people, there's so many laws and stuff against them and systems against them. It's like they have to really be level-headed and fight and dodge and leap to really get to where they want to be. Although you should never want to be in Hollywood, I'll say that. A million directions everywhere, and at the best or worst of times, each dream is the ghost of a dream yet to be. I'm not gonna lie though, when I first read this comment, it didn't really make sense, and it still kind of doesn't. And what seems like a city is actually the spectral ephemera of the entire world's voyeuristic gaze upon the simulacra of American decadence. Nowhere else in the world can you reinvent yourself infinitely with impunity, and for that, I'd say LA is where angels undulate through a heaven within hell that distracts us all from the demons of our own obscure ephemerality. So there's that. Why don't you worry about what a nightmare London or Manchester, UK has become? Poor woman and dog out on the street. This kind of reminds me of this comment that I seen, and I think I screenshotted it and used it in another video where somebody was like, I feel so upset when I see homeless animals out on the streets. And I'm like, here people go with anti-humanism, which is pro-transhumanism. The woman in blue seems so away from reality, the entire answer is so BS. I mean, she probably would want to get far away from reality. You gotta dissociate somehow. Honestly, I could see that becoming a term. Like, I mean, people already, they look up to these idols. They dissociate with TV and music. Music is honestly one of the worst ones other than sex addiction. People don't even get that. But what else do they do? People used to read books to dissociate as a coping mechanism. Like, I mean, I would say that society as a whole is in their own different forms of dissociation. Of course, a lot of the same things, sometimes in different ways. And it either revolves around them lying to themselves about what goes on, or trying to cope with knowing about what goes on, or being affected by what goes on, which honestly, everybody's affected in some way. In fact, kind of a side thing, I may have mentioned this before, everybody is under some level of trauma-based mind control and has some level of brainwashing, obviously. In fact, in one Ellie Carter video that I mentioned, she said everybody has a level of DID, and I really like that the way that she put it. But what I always say is everybody's under some level of trauma-based mind control and has some level of soul fractures or splits. And of course, it doesn't even have to be full-blown DID. I mean, if you go through any type of trauma, really, especially like some really bad stuff, you're gonna have DPDR or something. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily make you always, well, not always, but make you completely full-blown split into like all these different people. But to a certain extent, it does give you like, I don't know, different personalities. You don't have to have full-blown DID. And not that everybody who's under some level of mind control would even have DPDR. But that's just a side thing, though. Just wanted to throw this in here. USA will get even much worse under Kamala. I mean, that's the goal, but I mean, politicians are picked anyway, so whoever they put, which really, she's the cover man for Obama, but really, the US leaders, they're getting incentives for destroying America as it truly deserves. So, I mean, if they were to put somebody else, some other puppet, they would still carry out the same plan. But this is what left right mind hurting does. And realistically, if politicians weren't picked and votes actually counted, nobody would really vote for her except some white savior communist liberals and maybe a few Wheeling syndrome house Negroes with a victim complex in the Jezebel spirit. And yeah, so there's that. Kamala will fix all the issues. 8 more years, 8 more years. The fact that people really think that Agenda 2030 and the Great Reset is going to fix Jack. And I mean, sure, there's probably going to eventually be like some false sense of safety, but of course, like it says in the Bible, I don't know. I get the Matthew end times verse in Revelation mixed up, but when they say or when they scream peace and safety comes sudden destruction, which I mean the sudden destruction, I mean that's kind of already here to a certain extent, but it's definitely going to get worse with the weather events as America falls. But it's really scary that people in either side of left right mind hurt and really think that things are just going to get better. God bless America. I guess that's supposed to like make a joke about hillbillies or not hillbillies, rednecks. Funny side thing that's irrelevant though. Somebody had pointed out to me that my mom's boyfriend and kind of my mom too sound like rednecks, and then when I really thought about it, I was like, dang, they really do though. LOL, that's funny. It is though. But I'm sure that 9 out of 10 this person is in the right side of left right mind hurting. I'm now remembering why I actually screenshotted these. I noticed that anytime anything happens, people in left right mind hurting always make it political. Like if a cat gets stuck in a tree, somebody will be like, that's Biden's America and stuff like that. But it's like people are so into left right mind hurting, they don't even see that a lot of the things that they're making political have been going on for forever and a day, but are either getting worse or people are just finally starting to talk about it. I thought their profile picture was funny, but it's like these comments, it makes you wonder if there's some political bots or something. Because it really is scary that people really believe that left right mind hurting is going to save anybody from Jack. People leave Cali and vote the same in the states they move to. They don't learn. All heart, no mind. And that kind of goes along with what I was already saying. Here's one of the comments that goes along with the pride, cognitive dissonance, and also the if you see something, don't say anything. Bummer. Like your show, but this didn't show us in a fair light. Clearly you didn't know where to go for Best of LA and just went with tourist tropes. Ignore several fun areas. Because of course people only want certain things to be shown. And I would say that's pretty much anywhere, but of course in a prideful nation that's already fallen, it's going to be an even bigger issue. And I'm not trying to like accuse her of anything, but videos like that or documentaries like what she made really do nothing but show the nations that are a lot of people like sleeper cells are already in the US and have been since the 50s and 60s, but for the people or the military who do want to come in, these documentaries really just show them who they're going to be able to recruit and the easiest places to like try to bomb rush into first. If you want to show the problems really facing California, you need to show everything. Don't elevate or highlight one subculture and demonize the other. Homelessness, drug abuse, and degeneration in California encompasses all races, ethnic groups, not just one side. Well, what is that supposed to mean? Because nobody was making this about any ethnic group. This seems like one of those white savior type comments. This comment really stuck out to me. Just unsubscribe, don't come back to LA. Honestly, she showed less than the bare minimum that she could have showed in LA. This one was really funny. Malini, I usually like your videos, but you really need to get some help from someone who really understands the complexities of the Los Angeles metro area. Southern California is so much more than those filthy tourist traps in Hollywood and the filth homeless hustlers of Venice Beach. Interesting fact, thousands of these homeless people have no ties to California and are simply here for our overly generous welfare. Honestly, the people who are homeless that aren't from here really come because the weather's better. Sometimes, at least before the tsunami comes. Most of these homeless people bring this pain on themselves because of... The funny thing about comments like this, as I've said before, is that drug use and those other things are only an issue when people see you as being in a lower position than themselves. So, like, if you use drugs or, like, okay, wait a minute, an example. You smoke weed, but you're homeless, or you smoke weed, but you live in the hood or some low-income area, then it's an issue, instead of just being an issue all around. I also noticed that, like, the dudes that have been living with their mom their entire lives that are alcoholics and stuff, they never get this backlash, but yeah, bring this pain on themselves because of their rampant drug and alcohol use. They're really victims of their own multitudes of bad decisions. The only person you interviewed that made sense was the classy near Hollywood who discussed the importance of staying on the cutting edge of various industries to succeed. So the only person that made sense was somebody who's probably focused on, well, from the sounds of it, is materialistic and on all that career stuff and a whole bunch of things that really are going to mean nothing soon unless they're the 1%. She forgot to mention, if you want to succeed, then stop burning your brain out on drugs and booze so you can get a job and be a productive member of society. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Like, a lot of the people who are on drugs seem to be able to get a job easier than I can, to be truthfully honest. I really think it's just about who people want to hire, pretty much. And there's a lot of things with that. But ultimately, if you want to learn about the real Southern California, then do not go to... And another thing is that the rich people, or the people in Hollywood, due to all the things that they go through and even being forced on drugs, just like people in the lower level branches of the Cash for Kids system, they end up having to do drugs and getting addicted because, like, it's really hard to get through a lot of the Virgo Vasal essay rituals and stuff without being on drugs. And also, they just end up becoming addicted to coke. Like the whole situation with Lil Wayne, or really any of those people in Hollywood or that have been dragged into the entertainment industries. And another thing is that people already know that doctors, they pop pills big time. Just like how they like to drug kids too. But, anywho, do not go to Hollywood, Venice, and Skid Row. Utter garbage. Lastly, maybe you should get a map that shows Los Angeles proper and the various independent cities, such as Beverly Hills, which is an independent city. I'm gonna have to look into independent cities. It sounds like there's probably some mess behind that. And there's probably a reason that's an independent city, quote unquote, but I have to figure out what that means. So pretty much, just go into a whole bunch of areas where honestly, if somebody was to see her, they'd probably call the police for quote unquote suspicious activity. Here's more left-right mind hurting. Trump being reelected is the only proper hope for change in California, even though they're planning on making blue and red city-state, or tech city-states, I should say. Having visited myself, it's so sad what's going on there. That has been going on for years. I mean, honestly, what I noticed around here specifically is that if the homeless people aren't, like, if they're not foster kids in foster care who aged out, they're like trafficking victims, or they're from somewhere else and they came here for better weather. And I already talk about all the time how most people first become homeless by themselves, somewhere from age, 7 to 16. But like I said before, the real cause of homelessness that no one wants to talk about is the breakdown in the family system. I mean, sure, there's the economic agenda that's going on right now, but still, a good amount of the people you meet out here are going to tell you that they've been out here for 20 plus years since they were 12 and 13. So, yeah. I have fam there, but even 20 years ago, I wouldn't have even considered living there. Too hectic, too dirty, the crime. This, I believe, applies to most of LA, but there are areas for tourism, and for the rich, this is where the city goes to great lengths to keep it clean. No homeless safe area, because of course the homeless are the people that make it unsafe, not the traffickers, not the police harassing and assaulting people, none of that. But LA as a whole has always been a dump and very expensive living. Such a disgusting dump full of drug addicts living on the streets. A few nice areas do still exist. And I don't think this comment made a lot of sense to me. Outside of permaculture, intentional communities designed for sustainable living, etc., is it possible to not have gentrification occur? I've lived in California for the past 30 years. I really appreciate how honestly you have portrayed it. And then there were a few people that said similar things to this, but a lot of the comments were negative or were just things that didn't really make sense and were probably bots.